Welcome back to the news. Today we start with a major shift in Seoul's academic landscape. We are tracking the decline in education purpose migration, as statistics show that the number of people moving to Seoul, specifically for education purposes, has dropped for the first time in 5 years. Analysts are predicting that the Seoul education premium is set to weaken further with new regional doctor quotas and expanded school record-based university admissions. We dive into exactly how this trend is affecting the city's most competitive districts.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to hold it with one hand? The PopSocket's Pop Grip gives you a secure grip, works as a phone stand, and even lets you swap the top for a fresh new look. Simple, useful, and perfect for everyday phone use. Click the link in the comments to grab yours on Amazon.
Next up, we look at a significant policy win for residents in Busan. Busan Metropolitan City has made history by stopping the separate charging of residents for the replacement costs of special city gas meters starting this month. This means residential city gas users will now only pay the base monthly fee, with citizens expecting annual savings potentially reaching 1 to 1.2 billion won. We break down how this change affects household budgets and the long-term cost structure of city utilities. Our third story explores how Korean workers are completely reshaping their holiday habits. We are talking about the rise of the Microcation trend, where workers are splitting their annual leave into short breaks throughout the year to maximize the value of their time off. From gap holidayers to the demand for short-term, cost-effective travel, we examine the economic push behind this new way of vacationing and what it means for domestic tourism. Finally, we confront the growing liability crisis in Korean apartment complexes regarding electric vehicle charging. With over 1 million EVs registered, disputes are exploding over who bears the risk when charging equipment malfunctions or causes a fire. We investigate why complexes are opting for direct operation, the safety and liability burdens they face, and the legal fallout when accidents happen. Stay with us as we unpack this complex new reality. Seoul is witnessing a significant shift in its educational migration patterns, as the traditional appeal of the city for secondary education is waning. Data released Tuesday indicates that the number of individuals relocating to Seoul specifically for educational purposes has decreased for the first time in 5 years, dropping to 92,365 last year, a 3% decline from the previous year. This marks the first annual reversal of education-driven migration since 2021. While total migration into Seoul continues to rise, the decline in education-specific moves is becoming increasingly pronounced. The trend is particularly evident across Seoul's 25 autonomous districts. Migration dropped sharply in the Big Three school districts, Gangnam-gu, Yeoncheon-gu, and Nowon-gu. Specifically, migration into Gangnam-gu, home to Daechaedong, fell from 9,191 to 7,173. Conversely, districts housing major universities like Gwanak-gu, Seoul National University, and Seongbuk-gu, Korea University, saw increases in migration. Experts attribute this shift to a weakening Seoul premium in the education market. Industry officials suggest that provincial areas are offering more opportunities through early admissions tracks, such as rural quotas and regional balanced selection. Furthermore, the expansion of school record-based university admissions is disadvantaging Seoul high schools, where internal grade competition remains intense. This environment is pushing students toward an all-in on the standardized exam strategy, with many dropping out to focus solely on the College Scholastic Ability Test, CSAT. University admissions are also reinforcing this trend. The share of early admissions is set to reach an all-time high of 80.8% by the 2028 academic year, with top universities like Seoul National University and Yonsei University significantly reducing their regular admissions shares. The introduction of the regional doctor quota system is also expected to further accelerate the exodus from Seoul. Despite these challenges, proponents argue that Seoul retains distinct advantages, particularly for students focused on the CSAT or those planning multiple retakes, benefiting from the established environment for exam preparation and superior private education infrastructure. However, rising costs are acting as a major deterrent. property prices in Seoul, especially in major school districts, have surged by 13.5% year-on-year, creating an insurmountable wall for middle-class families in the provinces. Admissions consultants advise parents to foster self-directed learning skills in major school districts before potentially transferring to challenge university admissions through alternative tracks. Busan Metropolitan City has made a significant move by waiving separate replacement fees for special city gas meters, positioning itself as the first major city in South Korea to implement this policy. Effective this month, residential users of these special meters will no longer face individual charges for replacement costs. Under the new structure, residents will only be responsible for the standard monthly base fee of $991. This change is projected to yield substantial financial benefits for citizens, with estimated annual savings ranging between 1 billion and 1.2 billion won. Previously, households utilizing special meters, which feature advanced capabilities like remote reading, gas leak detection, and automatic shutoff functions, had been paying replacement costs through 5-year installments. Furthermore, Grade 4 meters incurred an additional monthly fee of 398 won. The city implemented this adjustment following consultations with Busan City Gas, the local supplier, aimed at redirecting the savings from reduced operating costs back to the residents. This decision marks a notable shift in utility fee structures across the metropolitan area. Korea is witnessing a significant shift in domestic travel patterns driven by a trend dubbed microcation. These gap holidayers are workers who strategically divide their annual leave into frequent, short breaks of 1 to 3 days, often aligning these periods with public holidays to maximize the perceived value of their time off. Examples include taking leave around the Children's Day Bridge holiday or substitute holidays like Buddha's birthday. Furthermore, some pragmatic workers opt for short leave during weekdays or off-peak seasons to avoid crowded periods and lower accommodation costs. This phenomenon, known internationally as a microcation, is gaining traction globally. Data from Alliance Partners' Vacation Confidence Index 2025 indicates that 73% of Americans planned microcations last year, a trend echoed by the BBC's report highlighting the appeal of short breaks. Short-term vacationers are increasingly favoring cost-effective, nearby destinations over extensive long-distance travel. A McKinsey survey involving over 5,000 individuals across the US, China, the UK, Germany, and the UAE found that 75% of travel spending occurred within travelers' home countries, with spending heavily concentrated near home. The South Korean government is actively supporting this domestic focus through the Worker Vacation Support Program, which partially subsidizes vacation expenses for employees at small and medium-sized enterprises to boost local consumption. While this initiative aims to promote domestic spending, employers express concerns about workflow disruption caused by frequent short breaks. Experts suggest that resolving this tension requires governmental action to ease rigid labor regulations, such as the 52-hour workweek, allowing workers greater flexibility to structure their work hours and rest periods effectively. Growing disputes are emerging across South Korean apartment complexes regarding the operation of electric vehicle (EV) charging facilities, driven by rising charging fees and a shift towards direct management. With cumulative EV registrations in Korea exceeding 1 million, concerns are escalating over liability when accidents, such as fires, occur. Several large apartment complexes have opted to operate chargers directly instead of outsourcing to charge point operators, CPOs, seeking to lower charging costs. Industry estimates suggest that 2 to 3% of all apartment complexes have chosen direct operation. The Ministry of Climate, Energy and Environment is considering revising guidelines to offer subsidies for complexes that install and operate their own chargers. The primary appeal of direct operation is the potential to reduce charging fees. However, management offices and resident councils are voicing serious concerns that this strategy trades lower fees for increased safety and liability burdens. Given that approximately 70% of EV charging occurs within apartments, the entire responsibility for maintenance, safety management, and fire response effectively falls on the complex. Officials note that direct operation increases costs for comprehensive safety measures, making it difficult for even residents to invest broadly. Furthermore, management offices lacking specialized personnel face increased risk. Following an EV fire in August 2024, the revised Electrical Safety Management Act stipulates that managers of charging facilities must compensate for damages following a fire, even without proven intent or negligence. Experts warn that in direct operation scenarios, the management office is often the first party targeted for responsibility, potentially facing subrogation claims if damages surpass insurance limits. Tensions are also evident in the policy landscape. While the Ministry of Climate, Energy and Environment announced a plan to lower the rate for slow chargers by 10%, CPOs argue that this price cap makes it difficult to absorb losses, potentially forcing some complexes into direct operation to avoid financial ruin. Experts emphasize that the focus should shift from operational methods to fundamental safety management systems and institutional design. Professor Han-Si Kyung of Kyungpook National University stated that when accidents happen, the operating entity becomes the focal point for determining responsibility, necessitating sophisticated institutional frameworks to enhance operational quality and clearly delineate accountability during incidents.